What is up, guys? My name is Sid Corrigan, and we are back on F1 24 Driver Career. This is Season 1, Episode 13 for the United States Grand Prix. Coming up. So we are heading into a sprint weekend around COTA in Austin, Texas, trying to shake off the rough weekend we suffered around Monza in the last race. If you haven't seen that episode yet, go check it out before you see this one. I'm forced now to use our fourth column of gearbox, as mine failed 10 laps before the end of the race in Monza. Hopefully we have enough to get to the end of the season without taking any more penalties. Let's get our specialist goals set up heading into sprint quali, shake off the disappointment of last weekend, focus on putting a good performance on around my home Grand Prix. I'm not sure what to expect pace-wise around COTA, as the long straights would seem to suit our car pretty well. However, the parts of the track that require more downforce, namely Sector 3, could prove challenging, as we are still lagging a bit behind the other teams in the aero department, as I redevelop Hulkenberg's failed major weight redistribution upgrade.
Okay, mate, I'm pleased to say that our new parts have come through without any issue, so they'll be on the car, ready for the next race weekend. And
that was another weight reduction upgrade that successfully went on, so we are finally catching up in the chassis department. And in the standings, Verstappen brings a 50-point lead into COTA over Alonso and a 54-point lead in over his teammate. Red Bull lead a resurgent Ferrari by 69 in the constructors, and we've dropped 18 back of McLaren for 5th place after our goose egg at Monza. So the major weight redistribution upgrade will go on successfully.
Okay, all the new parts have been fabricated and we're going to have them with us for the next Grand Prix.
We also get the minor drag reduction upgrade on, and our final upgrade going into COTA will be a front downforce upgrade. Let's head to the race weekend. So the lone practice session is done. Looking at the development chart, everybody has brought upgrades, and it looks like we've just managed to stay with the field. Let's head to sprint quali.
It's a United States love affair with Formula One at the moment, so what a thrill for everyone today to see our drivers lapping COTA at full hot lap speed. It's the circuit of the Americas, and it's qualifying.
So this is our only run in SQ1 on the mediums. Hasn't been the best run, but it should be good enough to see us through into SQ2. And this is a track, for me at least, where I really have to find a rhythm, as this lap has been a little bit messy as I look for the limit of the car, especially with all of the new upgrades. And it's good enough for 11th. And that is good enough to see us through in 12th. And the Ferraris are able to carry their momentum, topping SQ1. Gasly looked good in the Alpine in SQ1. They brought a big upgrade package here to COTA, and that seems to be working well for them so far. As I head down the short straight towards the final turn 20, we have a bit of a lockup into the final corner, able to finally get the car rotated, and that's good enough for 8th. And that's good enough to see us through in 10th by about half a tenth over Piastri. Our teammate is knocked out in 14th, along with both Alpines.
Checks complete. Everyone be aware, we've got a car leaving the garage.
Final run of the day for sprint quali on the soft for SQ3. The pace is not as strong as I had hoped, as we barely scraped through to get into this session, as we run a little bit wide of the first corner. Heading down the hill to the Fast S section, I actually decided to go with a slightly higher downforce setup for the sprint race. We're able to carry pretty good speed through turn 6 and now turn 7. Back up the hill through turns 8 and 9, and this is the trickiest part of the track in my opinion, as the rear always wants to step out on the exit of turn 9. This has been the cleanest lap I've done so far. Commentator's curse, I braked way too late into turn 10 and locked up the front left. So I've yet to put in a lap that I am very happy with, as I've yet to find that rhythm that I talked about, especially since if we want to qualify well, we really need to do well in sectors 1 and 2. as Sector 3 is definitely going to be the hardest part of the track for our car. As I head into the very tricky left-handed turn 15 that tightens up significantly on the exit. That corner reminds me of turn 10, I think it is, at Bahrain. I don't know if they did that on purpose or not. I know they took inspiration from Maggots and Beckett's for the slalom section here in COTA. Into the final corner, and it's been an okay lap, but too many small mistakes, and across the line, and it's only good enough for 9th. So Verstappen will start on pole for the sprint, with Leclerc in second. We will be starting 9th, just ahead of Lance Stroll in the Aston Martin. Let's see if we can make our way into the points. Let's head to the sprint.
So it's all about speed in today's sprint. Not very many laps and no chance to get ahead on strategy. Who here today has the raw skill to take them to the top? Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's sprint. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position, with Charles Leclerc alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Norris, Fernando Alonso, Sainz, Russell, Hamilton, Perez, Haas, Stroll, Oscar Piastri, Gasly, Ocon, Hulkenberg, Albon, Tsunoda, Bottas, Ricciardo, Joe, and Logan Sargent.
Looks like everyone, including ourselves, are going to be running the medium tire for the sprint around COTA today. I am going to take a little bit of fuel out. We'll have a little bit over a lap spare fuel. That should be plenty for the sprint.
Okay, so our system checks are good. We need to stay in formation and start bringing the car up to temperature, please. Get some loading to the tyres and work the brakes. We want them nice and warm by the end of this lap.
And the 5 red lights. And the sprint around COTA is underway. We get a lot of wheel spin off the start, losing a place to Stroll up the inside. We're going to take a wide line through the first corner as the other cars concertina up on the inside, side by side with the Mercedes of Russell heading into turn 2, but we do manage to pull ahead, and we are up into 7th, just behind the other Mercedes of Hamilton. So the wide line through the first corner has allowed us to climb up into the points ahead of the second Red Bull of Perez, who is down in 8th.
All right, let's focus now for the rest of the race.
He's one of our rivals that I would like to gain ground back on. As we dive up the inside of Hamilton, catching the Mercedes driver unaware into turn 11. We're going to have to use some battery as Hamilton is managing to stay with us down the long straight. Side by side as we head down towards turn 12, we will have the inside line, and we manage to finish off the move up into 6th. As Verstappen tries to recapture the lead after losing it to Leclerc. Verstappen uses the DRS to pull side by side with the Ferrari. Leclerc decides not to go defensive and instead use the racing line and manages to stay ahead of the Red Bull. As just behind that battle, we manage to hold off Hamilton, but Perez has smoke billowing out of the back of his engine, and that's going to be game over for the second Red Bull. So that's going to be a disappointing afternoon for the Mexican driver. That'll give us an opportunity to claw back some points on our rival that we lost out on with our retirement in Monza. But we have our hands full right now with Hamilton down the start-finish straight. We had dropped out of the DRS of Alonso in 5th, and we're defenseless against the Mercedes.
Lost a position, that's us down a place.
Verstappen trying again to reclaim the lead from Leclerc. This time the Ferrari does go defensive, forcing Verstappen to the outside. Still side by side as they go through turn 12. Verstappen will have the inside line through turn 13 and through turn 14, but Leclerc is managing to keep his nose in around both corners. And now he has the inside line through the tricky left-hander of turn 15, but Verstappen finishes off the move, recapturing the lead. Lap 7, and we are still in the DRS of Hamilton down the back straight. I've managed to stay close to the Mercedes, but I haven't been able to get close enough to swing for a move. And again, I'm close into turn 12, but not close enough to go for a dive. And these higher wings that I decided to run for the sprint While they're helping us here in Sector 3, they are severely hindering us down the straights with top speed and limiting our ability to overtake. On the penultimate lap, I'm going to use all the battery I have to try to chase down Hamilton for 6th. This might be the final run we get on the Mercedes as we dive up the inside of turn 12, and we are finally through on Hamilton. Back up to 6th, heading into the final corner to start the final lap. And Stroll spins it, pushing hard to catch up to Russell for that final points position, and he just overcooked it on the rear.
Okay, the incident's been cleared. Let's get back up to racing speed. Come on. Okay, final lap. Let's go. Final lap.
Going defensive on Hamilton into the first corner. We are just able to hold off the charging Mercedes. Down the back straight, Verstappen's going to have one more opportunity to overtake Leclerc for the lead of this race. Looks like Leclerc's run out of battery early in the straight, and Verstappen is going to come through and take over the lead. And just behind that battle, in a very similar position, we are dumping all the battery we have. And just like Leclerc, it's not enough. As Hamilton retakes 6th, we are able to hold off Russell into turn 12 and hold on to 7th. And through the final corner, Verstappen, back to his winning ways, wins the sprint around COTA. Leclerc and Sainz round out the podium. As we come through the final corners around COTA, we will have gained 2 positions from where we started and grabbed 2 points in the sprint.
And that's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
So that wraps up the sprint race, but there's still more action yet to come this weekend. We've got qualifying and, of course, the Grand Prix.
So Verstappen wins and gains 4 points over Alonso, who had a very quiet sprint race, managing only to finish 5th. Let's head to quali.
It's a United States love affair with Formula One at the moment, so what a thrill for everyone today to see our drivers lapping COTA at full hot lap speed. It's the Circuit of the Americas, and it's qualifying.
So this is our first run in Q1, ended up being our best run through the final corner. And it was good enough for 2nd. Ended up good enough for 4th with Verstappen and Leclerc topping the session. Both Alpines and our teammate also make it through to Q2. So this is our final run of Q2. And after all the laps of sprint quali, Q1 and the sprint, I finally found my rhythm around this track. I lowered the wings by a couple clicks after the sprint race, following our difficulty in overtaking and defending down the straight. I also increased the engine braking a little bit to help with rotation and to recover a little bit more battery. And it all just kind of clicked as we put it into first.
2 laps of fuel remaining now.
And that time was good enough to keep us in first, followed by Leclerc and Verstappen. Piastri, Gasly, Ocon, and our teammate were knocked out in Q2. Final run in Q3 on a new set of softs. Can I repeat the kind of lap I had last session? As we're good through the first corner, I have a bad habit in this game of doing my best qualifying laps in Q2 instead of Q3. And I'm a little bit wide through turn 6, and this track is so difficult, in my opinion, because if you get slightly offline, it throws off this whole part of the sector. We get a decent exit out of turn 9, but this corner is far more important, as you will carry all the speed you carry through the corner down the straight. And another driver who's going to need a good qualifying session is Perez. After losing out with his engine giving up and dropping a further 8 points back of Verstappen, his title chances are fading faster than Logan Sargent's F1 career, as we have a good run through turn 12. And now the double apex right-hander of turns 13 and 14, and into the very tricky turn 15. We drift a little bit wide, but we're able to still get a pretty good exit. As we head into the turn 16, 17, and 18, Leclerc goes provisional pole. I have to say, this setup actually feels significantly better than the one I ran in the sprint, even with the lower wings, as we go through the final corner. And then it's good enough for provisional pole, and I'm able to grab my first career pole position at my home race, and Haas's first since 2022 Brazil. Let's head to the grid.
Well, you don't need me to remind you that Formula One is now so beloved in the United States that we race here 3 times a year. But let's give respect to COTA, or the Circuit of the Americas, to give it its full name. This place laid the foundations for this moment and still remains the host of the US Grand Prix. We have 10 turns to the left and 10 turns to the right here at the fantastic Circuit of the Americas. Overtaking opportunities into turn 1 and turn 12 of this anti-clockwise track. It's 3.6 miles long, and we should see average lap speeds of around 126 miles per hour. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. In pole position, it's Haas, and it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Fernando Alonso, Sainz, Norris, Perez, Hamilton, Stroll, Russell, Oscar Piastri, Gasly, Ocon, Albon, Hulkenberg, Ricciardo, Tsunoda, Sargent, Bottas, and Zhou Guanyu. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race.
So what a difference a day and a setup change makes. So I'll be doing the medium hard strategy. It looks like everybody else in the top 10 will as well. I take a little bit of fuel out for the race.
Okay, so let's go through all the gears if you can. We need to make sure the engagement is okay before the start. We're going to want to put some temperature into the tyres and brakes. We need to keep the engine cool though, so don't go too high with the revs. Okay, incredible parking there, nice one. That's going to give you the edge if you can get a good launch as the race starts.
And the 5 red lights, and the United States Grand Prix is underway. As we get a lot of wheel spin off the launch, and Leclerc is up the inside. And into the first corner, Alonso's trying to come through as well. And we are dropped down to 3rd. So a poor getaway costs us our pole position. So now my goal is to stay within Alonso's DRS, keep close, and see if we can climb our way back to the front. As Verstappen is right behind us as we enter Sector 2. We're gonna have to try to hold off the very dynamic Red Bull as well, who is finally able to unseat the Ferrari 1-2 dominance of the last several races. As on lap 2, Alonso is challenging Leclerc with DRS down into turn 12. Side by side as they enter Sector 3. And Alonso will have the inside line for turns 13 and 14. But Leclerc has shown that the Ferrari is very good at this part of the track. But Alonso is able to finish off the move into turn 16. And the battling between Alonso and Leclerc has allowed us to stay close, well within the DRS range, as we're going to use some battery down the straight. And Leclerc is harvesting. So we're going to go for a big dive up the inside of Leclerc. We end up going for a dive up the inside of both cars. Alonso stays to the inside, and we're going to let him through since we ran into him. But then we're going to re-engage and try to go down the inside into turn 15. We leave him room on the outside. I started to lose the back end right there as I tried to floor it through the triple right-hander, and Alonso is able to maintain first. And down the start-finish straight on lap 5, Russell is slow. Russell is very slow, and it looks like he might have lost a gearbox as he pulls off to the side. And he is retiring. So tough day for the Mercedes driver. Hamilton is going to need to score a lot of points to keep pace with the Ferraris. And on cue, Hamilton's trying to overtake Ocon in the Alpine. Alpine, who brought a big upgrade package to COTA, were probably hoping for better results, as it looks like Hamilton has finished off the move on the entrance to 15, but Ocon has fought his way back, trying to use that inside line to keep pace with the Mercedes, but Hamilton does finish off the move, as our engineer has given us the task of overtaking Alonso by lap 10. I was hoping to hang behind him in the DRS and conserve some battery, but we're going to go for a late lunge up the inside of turn 12.
Look easy. Nice work. That's why I love working with you. Smashed it.
And this time we are able to finish off the move before sector 3, but we don't have a lot of battery left, and it could leave us very vulnerable down the start-finish straight. We did manage to hold Alonso off through sector 1, but he was able to re-overtake with the DRS down the back straight, but we make a late lunge to the inside, and we are able to do a very audacious overtake on Alonso. That went from trying to defend against Leclerc to overtaking Alonso in a split second. A little more aggressive than normal, as I really want to win this race. But we have a huge snap of oversteer out of the final corner on the end of that lap, and that's going to give Alonso a good run on us down the start-finish straight, as I am driving very much on the edge, pushing very hard to keep the position we're in, as we are side by side with Alonso through the first corner, down the hill, and Alonso is able to retake first.
Okay, be aware, the grip levels are going to start falling away soon.
We have a bit of a snap of oversteer. We're going to dump the battery. Leclerc using a lot of battery behind. He's going to try to overtake us. Alonso goes defensive against us. We're going to end up 3 wide into turn 12. We re-overtake Alonso, but we go deep, giving Alonso the chance to switch back us. And from the outside, Leclerc backs out and settles for third. Alonso is side by side with us as we head towards turn 13. Alonso squeezes us very tight to the apex, but through 14, he's still on the inside, and we have to back out and settle for second, live to fight another lap. And by lap 12, our tires have definitely seen better days, as Alonso has broken the DRS, and we are very low on battery, leaving us vulnerable to Leclerc.
Okay, we lost the position. Try to keep focused.
We're going to dive back up the inside, but we have a huge lockup and slide through sideways, and we are somehow able to drift it perfectly back in front of Leclerc to retake second, but our tires are literally screaming.
Keep an eye on your distance to the speed limit line as you approach, and make sure you don't speed.
In agony. So we're going to box this lap and try to undercut Alonso. And I've done a very poor job of saving the tires this stint, as we have a big slide, nearly spin it in the triple apex. I've had to push these tires incredibly hard to maintain the position we're in, with Leclerc and Verstappen just behind us. So let's see if we can get the undercut to work into the pits. We need a good pit stop from the team. We hit our marks perfectly. It seems like anytime we're under pressure, the team is slow. And we do get a clean stop.
See these tires
coming out in 17th, and there's a yellow flag. And it's just ahead of us as we come out of the pits, and it's Joe that has a big spin at the first corner. And that was just in front of us. So on lap 14, Alonso did box to cover us off, but he is stuck in some traffic, as Sargent and Ricciardo are battling just in front of him, and he is unable to get through as they go side by side through turn 12, severely holding up the Aston Martin and allowing us to close right up to his gearbox through turns 13 and 14. This will be driving Alonso nuts, but it's a heck of a battle between the Williams and the RB, with Ricciardo coming out on top. Alonso, having gotten held up in traffic, has allowed us to close up to the back of him and hang in his DRS the last several laps. And I'm not sure if it's a better idea to stay behind him and stay in the DRS or try to go for the lead. Leclerc is putting a bit of pressure on us from behind as we take a dive to the inside, but we overshoot into turn 12, and that allows Alonso to get the switch back on us. Can't afford to lose time like that, with Leclerc hounding us from behind. Leclerc and the much faster Ferrari probing up the inside into turn 1. We are able to hold him off for now. Alonso still leads this race, and with Verstappen all the way down in 8th right now, this could be the major point swing Alonso needs to claw his way back into the Drivers' Championship. So Alonso will be determined to hold on to this win, heading into the final 3 races of the season. Leclerc is looking to win his 2nd race in a row and Ferrari's 3rd consecutive race. And I would very much like to win my home race and bounce back from that DNF at Monza. So we are set up for a dramatic 3-way fight to the finish, as we have another good run on Alonso, and we're going to go up the inside into turn 12. And this time Alonso can't quite finish off the switchback.
Good job. Nice overtake.
As we get some understeer into turn 13, but Alonso's able to breeze back past us in the next DRS zone. I just don't think we have the pace to win this race today against a very determined Alonso, whose thin hopes for a 3rd world championship are on the line with the results of this race. We're catching Alonso with a little bit of battery in DRS, and we're going to make another dive up the inside into turn 12. I can get through on him here. I just can't brake far enough away in sector 3 for him to not re-overtake me down the start-finish straight. And as we start lap 19, Alonso with the DRS is going to take the inside line. I'm going to give him a little bit of a squeeze, but stay on the racing line to guard against Leclerc and go for the switchback. Try the Alonso move he's used on us.
Come on,
As we go side by side down the hill through turn 2, we are able to keep the lead on the Aston Martin. But all of this battling has now invited Norris to the party, and he is in DRS range of us 3 at the front.
Okay, mate, lap times are a little erratic at the moment. Let's try and close up the difference between them.
Verstappen, who has not had a great second stint in this race, is trying to dive up the inside of the Alpine into the first corner, and he is able to move up into 7th, and that makes it all the more important for Alonso to win this race and maximize the point swing. As I'm burning all the battery I have, we've already lost 1 position to Alonso, and Leclerc goes through as well to try to make it a 3-way battle into turn 12, but we have a huge lockup. And we fully drifted through that corner, made contact with Alonso. Luckily, he didn't pick up any damage, but that was way too aggressive. And now my tires are way overheated, heading into sector 3. I'm gonna have to do everything I can to stay within the DRS of Alonso, as we have a slide on the exit of turn 15. And I was able to keep within the DRS of Alonso, but we are under big pressure from the Ferrari. We have to go defensive into the first corner, and this battling with Leclerc may allow Alonso to break the DRS. Perez, trying to bounce back from a disappointing sprint, is in a battle with Gasly in the Alpine. Side by side as they head through turn 13, neither Red Bull seems to have great pace in this race. Perez is able to move up to 8th, and behind that battle, the McLaren of Piastri and Ocon are battling over the final points position. Piastri moves himself up into 10th, heading into the carousel. And with just 3 laps to go, Alonso has managed to break out of my DRS, and I don't know that I have enough battery to catch him again. And as we head on to the penultimate lap, Alonso is using all of his veteran savvy to keep me just outside the DRS range.
Come on, we need to get past.
And I can't afford to expend all of my battery trying to get back within a second of Alonso, as we are under intense pressure from Leclerc. As we have a big lockup into the first corner, and that allows the Ferrari to go up the inside. Now I'm just overdriving, asking the car to do things that it's just not capable of doing. And I need to refocus. We definitely still have a chance at taking second place here in Texas. Tucked into Leclerc's slipstream, using the battery and the DRS, the Ferrari goes defensive. And we're able to hang it around the outside of turn 12, which will give us the inside into turn 13. And if we can hold on to this move, thinking ahead, we will be at risk from Leclerc down the start-finish straight. But if we can stay close, we will have the final DRS zone to try to re-overtake Leclerc for second.
Okay, mate, this is the final lap of the race. Final lap.
And I go defensive on Leclerc down the start-finish straight, using a little bit of hot lap mode, but trying to save as much battery as I can. As we go into the first corner, Leclerc has overtaken us. Now I just have to stay close enough to give myself a chance within half a second as we approach turn 11 in the final DRS zone. Has Leclerc saved any battery to defend down this straight as we get a little bit of wheel spin. Not what we needed on the exit. DRS is open. Draining out the battery we have. Gonna take a very late lunge into turn 12. As we make a huge send, lock the tires, drift through turn 12. Manage to control the drift on exit.
Nice work, mate. That brings you up a place.
Leclerc tries to hang to the inside of turn 13. We're still side by side. Leclerc cuts the corner, and it's all gonna come down to the tricky turn 15. We have the inside line, and we managed to come out in front. Just behind us, the battle for fourth is coming down to the final corners as well, as Hamilton manages to nick just ahead of Norris, as Leclerc tries to go back up the inside of the carousel, making contact with the rear of our car, nearly spinning us through the triple apex right-hander. But as we go through the final corner, we are gonna hold on for second place.
Top job, mate. Top job. Yes. I was a bit worried about this one at the start of the weekend, but man, you pulled through. Thank you. Well done.
Here comes the checkered flag. All eyes on the car approaching. Your winner today, Fernando Alonso.
Wow, that race really kept us on our toes with the ever-changing weather conditions. It is so unpredictable when you're in the car, with visibility being limited to know exactly what's going on. So the driver really made some great calls in this situation.
The Aston Martin team will be very happy with today's performance. And of course, the final result. Another display of excellent driving and excellent teamwork. And a well-deserved first place finish.
So Alonso with his first win of the season, and he'll take a 19-point chunk out of Verstappen's lead in the Drivers' Championship, with Verstappen only able to manage 7th today, keeping Alonso's dream of a third world title alive for one more race. And I'm able to gain 14 points over Perez in our rivalry, as both Red Bulls struggled for pace around COTA, with Perez only managing to finish 8th. My rating gets a nice boost, but that late race drama with Leclerc probably won't please the top brass at Ferrari, the seat I was hoping for next season, as we maintain our 8 percentage point recognition gap to Hülkenberg. And we failed the manufacturing expert because we had more than 2 collisions, all in turn 12. Do pass all of the other specialist goals, however, so we're in good shape there. Just a little bit too aggressive, but I had a chance to win my home race on actual merit, so I felt like I really had to go for it. But it was good to see that Alonso has kept the Drivers' Championship alive for one more race. Anyway, guys, that's all I got for this week. I'll see you next week for another sprint race, this time around Brazil. Goodbye.